Okay, so this video is just about a follow-up, I guess, to the reaction that happened when I put the last video out, video number 132, in relation to a call to action for everyone who's actually wanting to take some action about all the violence that these people in these costumes that you can see right here on your screen have been engaging in, especially over the last 3 years. As you can see, like it goes through the montage in that video of the things they've done, and these are just some excerpts out of there, right there in the middle. Everyone remembers that when they were just about to be shot at, and that sergeant yelled out, "Come on, pussies!" Right? And we had the SOG even come out and just unarmed people, just like tactical military tactics, wrestled on the ground. And then you saw what happened to the Shrine, and then you've got these ninjas here with the mounted brigade, like this poor boy who got pepper sprayed. He's only 12. Right, this the guy in the car that just got totally run into. Like no individual in their own right, as just a civilian standard, would ever be able to get away with this. Yet these people are allowed to, right? So here was the opportunity for people to really go do something about it, and it was actually stated in the video, right? This is separating the wheat from the chaff, right? And still, the opposite happened, which I'm about to show you shortly. Before I do, I'm just going to give you a recap of the actual call to action and why it was put together, because the police commissioner in Victoria actually came and said it with their own words. So it's an opportunity to really capitalise and actually get them to hold to the very standard that they've made very public, right? But in the most critical way that actually it highlights the criminality that they're actually operating from, where they can't hide from it, right? So the detail that's been put together for you that you just needed to send in, that's all that was required, where they wouldn't be able to conceal their crimes. But that was what was put forward as an option for you. And then we're going to see what actually people did when they saw the video. But first, let me just give you a bit of a recap of one portion of that video where the Commissioner, Shane Patton, actually puts the call to action out. So here it is, just the last few seconds, just for a recap of the call to action, him pretending like he cares about what the community wants, and your opportunity to do something about it.
So as the horror stories continue to roll in, how do we hold police to a higher standard than those they're tasked with policing?
If you are seeing bad behaviour, if you are seeing misconduct, not only do you have an obligation, I want you to come forward and don't accept standards that I don't accept, that the community wouldn't accept.
So there you have it, right? So that was the call to action. And now we're going to look at what actually happened when the call was put out to the people to come and actually take advantage of this, right? We're going to see what they actually did, just to show you the actual level of people's will or lack thereof to actually take responsibility for that which belongs to them and actually do that which is required for this entire system to cease operating the way it does and start operating the way it was meant to, right? So I'm just going to go bring that up. Okay, so here we have it. Here's the post in question, video post 132. As you can see, there is Shane Patton. So here it says, time to separate the wheat from the chaff and see who backs their words with action. That's the point of the actual post, right? It's only those who are interested in taking action, taking responsibility for what belongs to them, and actually making their voice heard, not just by anything wishy-washy, but something that's been researched for years and years and has real merit in truth based on what's verifiable and self-evident, right? And so this was people's chance to actually go and care enough to go and do something about it, right? So they're all good at complaining and all describing, their cage and how bad it is to live in that cage. They're brilliant at that. But here's the chance to actually do something new and different, right? And so as it says, it's called Police Commissioner Cry for Help, which is a red herring. Like there's no illusions of what's happened here, right? It's not about that you expect that they're going to actually really be serious, taking in your information as being serious. It's about pounding them with the weight of that force. That is the truth that totally destroys their lies, right? That's what this is about. And people coming together. Now there's over 6,000 people who follow this page, right? Just them alone could make an impact if they all got together and did this. Even if it's in their own state, it doesn't have to be in Victoria. Right? That's the thing. They've never had this before based on truth, not the fake stuff not the UCC and the commercial law and international law and all that stuff. That's all codified. Not that. This is based on reality, right? As it says here, you either stand in defense of your natural born right to live free by defending against the organized crime gangs that oppress and enslave you, or you remain complicit in your enslavement, right? That's the only two choices you have. Whether you like it or not, agree, disagree, that's the reality situation. It's whether you want to actually see it for what it is. That's your choice. If you choose not to and have all these fancy ways to just like weasel your way out of it, fine. You don't have to come here. But people are coming to this actual video and not doing anything about it. Look, even here it says download your Victoria specific or generic version of the actual commissioner letters, right? By clicking the links below. And there's two places to go do it, two separate ones, right? Now, let's go have a look at what actually people wrote. Shall we have a look at that? This is what comments came up, if it'll actually load it for me, because it seems like it's slacking off. Maybe I'll just put, there we go, no, that's not showing up. Maybe I'll just, here we go. So someone's thanking someone. I think this should be aimed at the ones giving the orders. So everyone's giving what that should happen. I believe that the addresses should go at the top, so more education. And look at this, I'll speed it up for the slow ones. Don't move to Melbourne. Look at that, telling what to do. Have a look at people coming to stand for their individual rights. Have a look at it, right? Notice the signature's basically an X. Queensland Police are notorious. Got to put them in the slammer, right? Where's the action, right? It's all just someone's got to. Someone else's responsibility. Do you see that? No individual responsibility when it's all done for them, right? This is the level of what people call being awake here. Patton's eyes look soulless. Where's these links mentioned? It's right there, right? They can't even be bothered to go find out, right? This is what we're working with here. We'll never forget. That's great. I'm wondering what you'll do about it. Shape up or what? See what I mean? What's all this about? Always go after their bonds. Now someone's going to the legalese system again, right? They want to educate you on what they know. Time to arm up if you haven't already. What does that mean? There's just all these empty words, right? This just feels good in the moment to sound heroic. Just my opinion. I won't be jailed, lol, but it seems like to be another past responsibility down the bottom end, just like Ben Smith. So here you go, disgrace the military, yada, yada. Someone's giving you an education, right? Was that what the post was about? No, but people can't help themselves. They can't help to repeat their old patterns. And this is what they call being enlightened. Right. Look at his eyes. I'm taking action. I've never sat back and allowed injustice to be ignored. Never will. Not that I have to prove that. I've made to anyone. So why are you writing in here? Do you know what I mean? Like totally contradictory. Only Victoria, question mark. Do you know what I mean? It's all written there. All psychopaths and guns plus their corporate employees will be ordered who ordered the Shrine shooting at the peaceful protesters need to be caged. That's wonderful. Who's going to do that? That's the thing. This all needs to happen. We all know that, but who's actually going to go and put their weight behind it? You see what happens? It's just people just telling you what should happen, but they're going to do nothing about it. So you got here, he knew what they were doing. Do you know what I mean? To the people during COVID, he was obeying Andrew's orders. So why are they bringing hundreds of foreign police? So this is more education. This is what happens when they disarm the people and control the public. No, that's got nothing to do with it. America's fully armed and it still goes ahead like that. What fantasy is this person? At least they wouldn't put up with in America. Oh, yeah, they do. There was just not long ago, the police actually beat this guy, Kaylee Thomas, to death. Right? So it's got nothing to do with that. This is fantasy. People hold these fantasies that these other places have it better. No, it's their mentality that allows it. Doesn't matter how many guns they do. And I'm going to do videos later that show you, right? That actually show you lived descriptions of how people behave. These ones that you think are armed, they won't put up with it, which is actually false. You guys are bought into a fantasy. Because if it was true, if they really use their guns, there would be no police in the streets doing what they do. There'd be no bashings, none of it. If people use their guns for the intended purpose of self-defense. But they don't, because they're mentally enslaved. And this is another version of it right here. You're a total legend, mate. Well, that's wonderful. Well, what are you actually doing about it? Right? The people in charge need to be held to account. Yeah, and who's going to do it? Again, see? Somebody else. Outsourcing. Where's the personal responsibility? These people who claim they are fighting for freedom, but they'd rather just protest and get treated like cattle than actually do the things that really matter and put the weight of the force of the truth on the lie that collapses the whole deception and the entire structure that's based on the lie. They won't do that bit. And it's all been done for them, but they won't, see? Canadian Australians send this letter, you know what I mean? So ask some more questions. At least that's not so bad. But then they're saying, do you have to be a witness to the crime, so forth. How do we hold them to a higher standard? Just going by what was it said in there. So they're educating about the sentence, how it was structured, the politicians, so it's all just passing the buck. Someone else needs to be responsible. How about Western Australia? Yeah, well, it's all part of Australia. These letters are the same thing. And I'm going to show you, you've got a generic version. It says it in there, in the link. What are the solutions to the national problems? See what I mean? Like, just someone else fix this for me. You've got to question the recruitment. So look at this. This is where they're going. Like, nothing to do with what the post was for, right? It's a culture that's breeding. Did he set the police force against the people during COVID? He needs to go. Okay, so who's going to make him, right? Because they're not going to make themselves. So unless it's you, then who? The police don't work for the people. They're employed by private corporation. It's just preaching to the choir. Most people know all this stuff, right? But people can't help themselves. They've got to let you know. Look, mummy, look what I just found out. Now the whole world needs to know what I know, because that's how I contribute. If you think police bullying are breaking the laws, you better have a look at the courts. So this is one now who says, if anyone has any more stories, appreciate the post. So they want to share war stories, right? This is what they're using this for. He didn't know about how out of control his force was. Like now, yeah, sure he didn't. So this is all they just want to talk about, the cage, right? And just how terrible he is. Committed treason towards his own people. That's all wonderful. We all know that, right? You don't need to go repeat that. That's not what it was about. But you see what we're working with here, right? And even I've actually got it on the header of the entire Facebook page that it says about people who are programmed and never do research, right? And so the research has been done for them, but these people still won't actually go take the action. This just shows you what we're dealing with. So this is the terrifying thing about who it is that you think is in your corner that still chooses to sit on their hands and type out their rage where it's safe, where they know in their minds that no one's going to come after them. They'd rather do that than actually make themselves known to the criminals, and that they're not going to stand for it. And they think that's going to change the world, really. So now I'm going to show you the actual site where you can actually find this information. So just let me move this here so I can find it. That's going to go here. In action now, that's where it is. So here we go. Look at this. You've got different letters for different things, right? This is just the standard foot patrol. If you just want to let them know about the crimes they're committing and what standards they're supposed to. Then you've got anyone who works in the courts, that's judge, magistrate, even a registrar, or say like a court clerk, something like that. Any public servant, whether it's politician, bureaucrat, local councillor, these letters for that. There's so much work that's been done for you. Now, if you've ever been the subject of any kind of intervention order or family violence order or apprehended violence order, or protection order, all these different ways to control you, where there's no proof being needed of you actually committing a crime against each other. This is one we'd send to those who are responsible for doing those violations to you, right? Same thing if child protection has been involved in doing the same thing to you. See, because that's all pre-crime. Most people don't know what that is. So it's all there if you want to learn it, even if you just want to download it to read it. And then you've got the same thing if the court's issuing orders, right? Because that's order following, is against the whole system of anything to do with justice. Order following defies it, and that's all they do. They hand out orders, right? So it gets into that. But here you go. Here's your generic version to send to any police commissioner across the country. And then you've got one that's specific to Shane Patton, right? It's specific to even what he said out loud, right? It's been done like perfect for you. And that's all this post was for. So people who care enough to actually action it, right? But did they do it? No. They just came and commented like they do. Hardly any of them even watched the video. That's how you know, because if they did, they wouldn't be saying half the things they're saying, right? Now I'm just going to show you some other things at this site. If you actually want to learn, right, you've got videos that can go and back it up. This is all come from the whole system that started how there's even such a thing as an oath of office, right? That a politician takes one, which is meant to just be a member of parliament, how a judicial officer would take one, how a police officer would take one, how the military would take an oath. It all comes back from to the Magna Carta 1215. Now, some people think it's a relic, but they can't prove it, but they still love to say how it is. Now, if you're someone who actually wants to learn, there's a bunch of different lessons here. You can see you've got the Magna Carta lessons, Australia specific. You've got Larkin Rose. He breaks things down really quickly and basically for you in that video. You've got Will Keat. He's been researching the way the true governance system is supposed to be working for years, right? He's got this down pat. There's another one there, and that's with John Locke. So this is Australian specific here, right? So this is where Australia gets brought into how Magna Carta is related to here today, right? So you've got tons of this kind of stuff, right? More from practical lawful dissent. You've got hidden knowledge that gets into more of the basic stuff, and you'll see that on the same channel. There's John Locke. He does like specifics on Magna Carta. You've even got stuff from Neil Oliver as well, right? So you've got a video version if you want to go, anyone who's caring about learning, right? There's so much stuff here. You've got the reading version, right? So here's the reading material, right? So theft by deception, right? The Great British Constitution. Guess what? That's specific to Australia because all our oath takers take an oath to that. And why would they do that if it had no actual validity, right? And so then you got the validity of the Magna Carta today still. The Cult of Power, this one I highly recommend if anyone who wants to understand anything about how freedom works. That one's a dead cert. History of deception again. Then you've got the treason that's happened as to why Magna Carta and the Article 61 was invoked. You've got stuff about the barons. They're meant to be the ones who are the protectors of the Constitution for the entire Commonwealth, not just England, right? Then there's more about Article 61 there. This one is a dead cert. Anyone, again, who wants to learn anything about how a system of governance where you are self-governing, that's the true design of how it's meant to work. If you want to understand that, this is a must read. It's only about 8 pages, not long, right? And there's more here about natural rights and natural justice here from Lysander Spooner. So there's brilliant stuff, even Edward Fitzgerald's work, right? So just going to get rid of that. So if you want to learn, that's there. You've got news and articles, right? So there's articles being done about Magna Carta. So it's boundaries for freedom, how becoming outweighs getting. So it's about stop being selfish and start working for freedom for all. Then there's about, those who understand that we're being run by corporations, how Magna Carta is the solution to that. And, the birthright of your freedom, how that's your birthright and how you can be empowered to the path of self-rule, right? So there's just a few articles there to read. So if you're a reader, there's something. If you're one who likes to watch, there's something. And then here's another version of it, right? You've got like a distinction between the fake constitution, this one, and if you've watched the videos, you'll know that this is a communist manifesto, should I say. It's not a constitution, and the Magna Carta shows you the difference, right? Here they're above prosecution, and that's self-evident. Here they're accountable to the people, right? So it does all the sort of differences that you can see. Now let's go to where the police are, right? Here the commission is chosen by the government. Here they're appointed by the people. Big difference already, right? Here the corporate policy enforcement agents. We all know what they are. Don't need to educate us about that. The keepers of the peace, protectors of people's sovereignty. What's that? What does that mean? Protectors of people's sovereignty, of the individual right. That's their role. It's not to listen to government. It's to actually make sure that they protect the people from tyrannical government, right? So if you want to learn all this, it's all here for you guys, right? And this is what very few people actually do when they come and click on the videos that I put up, because there's a pattern in play, right? Where people just click on something because they see it, it attracts their biases and their prejudice, and they want to educate others of what they know instead of actually taking action. They're not capable of breaking that pattern, right? They'd rather stay induced in that permanent traumatic state than actually break free from that and take the action necessary. Now, that's really what the whole resistance is to our freedom. It's not the 30% that just accept things blindly, or the 40% that actually just follow what the others do because they don't want to stand out and they don't want the fear of being punished and isolated. It's the 30% who can see past the level 1 of the deception that still are holding those enslaved patterns of not learning what they don't understand and not caring enough to want to find out the absolute undeniable truth that will actually win their freedom. This is the real crux of it. And the people who pull the strings, they know that. That's why they feed you all the things that are going to keep you distracted. So you're like, you're hell-bent on the adrenochrome or the violation of children or the trafficking or the spraying in the skies, or the poisoning of the water, all these things that the truth is, they want everyone to know about, right? They've given you that on purpose to keep you focused on the problem, so you never look at the root cause, because until you understand the root cause, you'll never know how to get the solution. And that's what they're giving you on purpose. And they're feeding it to you through your trusted networks, and you believe you're discovering it. And then you think, oh, look what I've discovered. They know how to play you like a fiddle, guys. This is the level 2, level 3 deceptions that most people don't actually understand. And that's why they fixate on the things where there is no solution. And then how many people unite over that? Because they all have their own unique version of what they think is true. And then they're just fighting with each other. That's the point. The point is for you, 30%, not to unite. Because if you did, that 40% that sits in the middle, they'd swing over to your side, and you'd have 70% of the population now, which they could not destroy. And they know that. That's why they need to keep you separated, focusing on the things that don't actually matter. And this is where the majority of people don't understand. Who call themselves awake, who think they're red-pilled, right? They're still being sucked in, and they're still being dragged into a place where there is no unity. There's no way they can come together and provide that unified force that takes down the monolith, right? Because the monolith, it survives on lies. And the only way to take it is to remove those lies and expose the truths. Not the fake version, not the UCC, the commercial code version, the legislation. That's all fake. That's got nothing to do with the truth, right? That's all someone else's prejudices hidden to be something that's actually knowable by all, right? That's what codified law does. I'm talking about the verifiable truth that no one can hide from, that destroys all the lies and deception. And it's done for you in those letters that are there, and people just refuse to do it. So this is what I just wanted to show people, what freedom looks like, right? And how many people are really going to be honest enough with themselves to actually take a look at their actions and what they actually support. This is an opportunity for you guys to actually think about it. Do you really care enough to actually start changing your behavior and looking at it as an observer from outside and go, well, am I doing what I'm doing? Is that really helping? I've had 3 years here, and how much has it really changed things, right? And is there another way to go about stuff? How many more roadblocks do I have to go and smash my head into before I start doing that, which is really going to make a difference? That's the question here. And so far, I've seen very little of that. And I just wanted to show you guys that it's actually like evidence that it's an actual fact.